Now that you've gotten so much experience under your belt, you've got millions of hours, right, of doing so many things right now. I mean, from thousands and thousands of hours every role. Now you've probably clocked millions of hours already. The next question is, did you ever see yourself, like envisioning that point whereby all of a sudden now, I'm part of a community, or I'm spearheading a community? Did that ever dawn on you? And is that something that you've always wanted to do?
I don't think it's always what I wanted to do, but when I go back through the different stages of my careers, I was, on a stage with a spotlight playing the Greek piano concerto at the age of 15. I was a model in my 20s in Vogue and walking on catwalks to make money while I was a student. I was the teacher in front of the 40 people in the lecture theatre saying, listen to me, because if you listen to me, you'll be a good musician. And I did that for a lot of years. So I was being put on the stage, and you have to perform. You can't just crumple up, you have to perform. And I think that the idea of community engagement, what changed over the years is that, I liked my authority, but I also really was thankful that I could empower people around me, because everyone needed to do their job. And as you start to realise, you've got photographers doing that, and you've got writers doing that, and you've got designers doing that, and you've got salespeople doing that.
Right.
What you're really doing is you're engaging everyone to get the end result, to move to the end result, but empowering everyone to do it. I mean, sometimes the relationships break down and the empowerment turns into something ugly, which it happens in all work environments.
Yeah.
But the community, the idea of the community engagement, I think what really changed was when I left ACP, ACCA, SBH, and went to expat insurance brokerage. I was really in touch with the community. I was in touch with change makers, catalysts for change, innovative business thinkers. I became very involved in webinars, participating in employee engagement management sessions in my marketing communications role, where we really pulled apart what does it mean to engage with our audience? What do we need? And so what you start to realise is you need to have ambassadors, or you need to have key people of influence. You can't just do it all on your own. You've got to sort of find pinnacles, which is leading towards where we're at in this day and age with community managers for businesses, because it does start off from, listen, influencers, how to become an influencer. Everybody wants to be an influencer. By default, I'm an influencer. People listen to what John Gordon says. Oh, well, John Gordon says that donut's good. We're going to try those donuts. Mm-hmm. The only time, well, not the only time, but you'll hear when somebody doesn't like the donut. But the 1,000 times that the people do, you don't need to hear it, because they're enjoying it. So it's about engaging those people that are not so much influencers, but are change makers, catalysts for change, people who want to contribute to a wider community on a positive level, and not always have to be one to bag something out, one to give a negative review. I say, if it's negative, I'm not really concerned about it. Like, I don't need to listen to the negative. I haven't got enough time. There's so much noise on the internet. I don't have time to read all the negative reviews about some new restaurant. I just want to read the good reviews about a new cafe, because I don't have time. And I want to cut through the clutter. So I want to listen to people that are contributors. I want to listen to people who are ambassadors. I want to listen to people who are key people of influence in their community. And they don't need to be a foodie. You don't need to be a foodie to enjoy a restaurant.
Right.
You need to enjoy the atmosphere. So the people that I have as contributors on Expat Choice in Singapore, there's a core group of about 20 people, and all of them have their own careers. You too could be one of my contributors because you have your own career, you've got your own podcast, and I would want to listen to what you have to say about a certain experience, be it an art gallery, be it a spa experience, be it like a sports experience, be it a food and wine experience. I'd like to read what you have to say, and I want to make a decision about what you say, not about what an influencer who's a foodie has to say, but that's just my thing, right? Not everyone's like that. Some people love just reading through all the things about the foodies, and we've got so many great food critics in Singapore. But Expat Choice is not about that. Expat Choice is about the community of contributors who are reporting on local experiences and sharing them on the expatchoice.asia network. It's as simple as that. So, I'll just repeat that because we are a community of contributors who report on local experiences and share them on expatchoice.asia. So it's like, hang on a minute. We're not like a magazine. We're not like SG Magazine. We're not like Lifestyle Asia. We're not like the Finder Magazine. We're not like Expat Living. We're not. We're a community. And all the content's coming from the community, and people forget that. Like, we do have our own in-house unique content, like 10 best steaks, 20 best donut shops, where to get a milkshake in Singapore, because we need to do that, right? People want that. But 90% of the content is supplied by contributors free of charge. Free of charge. We don't charge anyone to do that. So the model is very different. And, we're still refining the model. We do have a business model, which is based on how we make revenue. And some of my mentors and advisors within the Choice group are like, John, you've got to make more money. It's a different model.
Right.
So it's like once we engage more community contributors, ambassadors, key people of influence, it's only natural that new clients come because what we're doing is building community. Now, you mentioned at the start of the podcast something that's really quite interesting for right this very moment. I look day on day because I'm the creator of Expat Choice. And so I remember the first week, there's like 300 people visited Expat Choice. And then after a month, it was 1,000 and, whatever. Year on year, day to day to yesterday, 5 o'clock, say, 6 o'clock, it was 145% growth in traffic. Right? That's phenomenal. And the amount of content that is going through our editors and being published on a day-to-day basis, it's something like, I think it's 90 unique bits of content a month. Does that sound right? Yeah, it's like 25 unique pieces of content a week, right? And we're talking a 5-day week, right? We're not talking a 7-day week because usually on Saturday and Sunday we're sort of pretty quiet. Just let the world hum on,
So essentially you're looking at like 5 articles a day.
So you're looking at like 5 articles a day. I mean, some days there's 20 things sitting in the back because you've got people now that are loading content from all over the world. And we are in 105 cities. We have a presence in 105 cities, which means that if you know Expat Choice and you go to Expat Choice in Kampala in Africa, it'll come up as Expat Choice Kampala, and there'll be about 300 things on there. And people have joined, when I say things, like 3,000 pieces of information, be it business information or accommodation information or whatever it might be. But then you've also got like these evergreen articles about how to fly with children, which is not really a great subject at the moment, right? But how to manage lower back pain. But written by a writer who specialises in editing a dissertation, and there's a backlink to their business, which is fine. They're giving us the content. We'll do a backlink back to their content, and they might be in London, but that's fine because it's really great for Google algorithms, for SEO, SEM, etc. So it's a whole different ballgame, the amount of content coming through. And we've now got an initiative where we want to really empower the public relations and communications specialists within Asia and slowly but surely make them understand that they need to change. That you can't just create a media release and send it out to the media and expect everyone to give you coverage. You know what? That's all well and good. But we're not SBH. We're not MediaCorp. We don't employ lots of people. I don't know how many people work there anymore in those bigger businesses because of the current state of the market. But there are people there that will format that media release and put a little bit of their own language into it and publish it. But it might take 2, 3, 4, 5 days to do. What we're doing is empowering the public relations executives and managers in their office to literally upload digitally. And so then all our editors need to do is format, put a stand first to introduce the article, maybe edit out a bit of extraneous information that's a little bit too much of a sales pitch, and make it go live. Cut out some beautiful images, make some GIF files, maybe even do a video, depending on what contents come in. So now we're dealing with a whole new level of contribution from these fabulous public relations companies that write great content. But we want them to upload it. We don't want them to edit it. We don't want them to sub-edit. We don't want them to format. We just want them to put it into the back end of the digital environment. So it just takes away maybe 2 people in an office just doing menial work, like taking an email and uploading it into a website. It just seems like, hang on a minute, it's 2022 in a couple of months. We've got to start looking at different ways of doing things because we don't have the same sort of revenues to spend on support stuff, and the way that it is in our local environment. I mean, to employ someone to do that is going to cost me, $4,000 a month just to convert stuff from one environment to another, when I can give that power to the source. So engagement and community becomes everyone that's involved in the ecosystem. Because if you're a public relations executive working at GastroSense, and they're an amazing PR company, they do incredible content for clients. But I'm just using them as an example. Why not empower those wonderful professional people to upload? It takes 2 minutes. And it's more likely that our editors, who are not all in Singapore, but I have editors in Malaysia, I've got editors in Africa, I've got editors in India, I've got writers in India, I've got digital editors a lot in Malaysia. And in Singapore, I have a number of contributors, about 20, but they're not paid positions, but they get to actually do some wonderful things, staycations, incredible meals, experiences. And it's not a free-for-all, we're just going to write positive reviews about it. No, it's not. We don't write reviews. We write articles about experiences. We arrived in the Grab. We got out. There's amazing lawns and the garden was fantastic. And we went up there. So give the experience. Tell us about the experience, not just about the food and the drink. So, I mean, there's a lot of information there, but I think you can see what I'm saying, that we really empower the ecosystem to be our community. And in turn, people know Expat Choice far beyond if we were pushing it to them through paid marketing on Facebook. We have never, in 3.5 years, it was nearly 4 years, we have never spent 1 cent on marketing Expat Choice. It's all been engagement and community, and I believe that. Look, if I had an extra $500,000 3 years ago, I probably would have thrown it away. I don't know if there'd be any more people using our platform now than the approach that I took was empower the community, empower the ecosystem to take ownership.
And from what you're saying, right, do you feel that back in the day, right, when it came to starting out this thing called community, as we know now, previously it was just about getting your fans or your followers in that sense. But now, on the other hand, because the internet space and the digital space is extremely noisy at this point, what people in the community are looking for is authenticity, 100% real reviews. And again, like what you're saying, it's no longer just about this one key highlight, but it's about the entire ecosystem and the entire experience and journey. So do you think that the marketing of back then, of the way that we actually connected with our community, let's just say, for example, from the first day you started versus now, how much has that changed over this time?
Okay, I think when we say started, let's say started Expat Choice.
Expat
so
Choice,
in
yes.
2018, okay, there was a sort of 2018 was when we sort of started to really do things with it, because we had built an email database. So the way that we connected with our audience from day dot was through email marketing. Now, if I was, say, a new digital business, I'd probably connect through to an audience that I didn't know through Facebook advertising or Google advertising, which we didn't take that road. We went very personal because we built a very large database. Whereas today, the engagement comes from three main areas. Now that we've got community managers at the local level, so in Bali, in Tokyo, in Phuket, in Kampala, in Africa, about to get Dubai, looks like we're going to have a community manager even in Melbourne, Australia, which is a whole other ball game, because we're expatchoice.asia. We want to go to myexpatchoice.com, and and then it's like, do we lose expat eventually and be choice? Like there's a lot of planning for the future. But the three areas that we get the engagement now, as opposed to the one area was email, and then people would just accidentally find us on the internet. But in the early days, we didn't have much SEO optimization. Well, we didn't have organic SEO optimization because we didn't have a stack of content. Whereas now we've got 19,000 articles out there on the internet that are evergreen. They're there forever. And so we have the email marketing line, which is a very active, very fluid. It's built itself up to just on 50,000 email recipients that normally get an email in the morning at about 7 o'clock and in the evening about 7 o'clock. And it's 5 days a week. And we've gone from 1 email a week to 10 emails a week, but over a period of nearly 4 years. And we have little or no unsubscribed. We have very little unsubscribed. So we've got an active audience, and of those 50,000, at least 5,000 of those people every day are opening up. 10,000 every day. So 5 in the morning, 5,000 at night. And they're opening up. And like anyone on an email, you sort of scroll through and, oh, that looks nice picture. Oh, nice little video file or GIF file, a couple of headlines. You may not even delve any deeper, because we like to give enough information to our engaged audience to give them enough to talk about. Oh, did you hear about that, new hamburger joint? Oh, there's a new circus coming to town, whatever it might be. Out of context now, because there's no circuses coming to town. But this second form of engagement, which I think is probably the most important out of everything, is the word of mouth. So it actually goes back to 1990, when word of mouth was the most important form of referral, as opposed to traffic that is visiting your website, like the tens of thousands of visitors to Expat Choice on the net that don't know us, don't really want to be there, and are not an expat. So their brand experience is like, oh, what am I doing here? I'm not an expat. Oh, move away straight away. So we don't want to do that mass marketing. We can market, of course, to expats, and we can target as well, but it becomes very expensive. And like the way that we're doing it through word of mouth is those 20 or so people that we've already got in Singapore, they've all got their own networks. So it's like one person. I mean, I must know, I don't know, let's be conservative. I know 200 people in Singapore. I think I know a lot more than that. I know 200 people in Singapore that know me and they know Expat Choice. So I've got another 20 people that they all know 200 people each. So that sort of ends up being, like huge, it's like 4,000 more people that know Expat Choice, who then know people that know Expat Choice. So our word of mouth community is massive. It's almost unfathomable to think how deep the word of mouth community in Singapore, Phuket, Bali, Tokyo, not so much. Tokyo's a different ballgame. Oh, it's a completely
It's a
different
Southeast
ballgame.
Asian thing, isn't it? The whole word of mouth thing. It really is very Southeast Asian.
It's very word of mouth, and then of course you get the confusion. Oh, do you know Expat Choice? And it's like, oh yeah, I saw a great article, but it could have been Expat Living, or it could have been expat.com, or it could have been an expat group on Facebook. So people just
expat
sort
something.
of expat something, right?
Yeah.
So expat has been a great tag for our business, and there will always be the Expat Choice brand. There will always be a place for it. It's now a licensed network, so I built a system that allows us to give a longitude and latitude within the back of the web browser, and it will be optimized for a 100-kilometer location around any city globally. And it will automatically default to that city. So in turn, we can make a business model out of that and sell licenses globally. But we had 9 licenses ready to sign in March 2020. Was that when COVID came? Like in the first lockdown, had 9 contracts ready to go in 9 cities. And one by one, they fell over simply because we had this incredible sense of detachment from the world. And people wanted to be attached to Expat Choice, but we lost that sense of attachment because we were out of control. We had lost control. And like even one of my licensees was Yangon in Myanmar. And like, look, now there's a coup. We can't even expect to launch in Yangon after doing so much work in Yangon. But by building this system, what I've done now is I'm giving the locations free of charge for 2 years because I just want to build community. And I've done my sums and can afford to keep that going for 2 years, even though my AWS cloud data cost is just going through the roof. But it's a great way to move forward. So empowering individuals at the local level to build community so that we get this great sense of word of mouth happening, not in one city, but many. So give us 12 more months with the Expat Choice licensee network, and then say, well, maybe in 12 months we'll start charging cities. But at the moment we're giving them away, and give them training and understand what you need to do to create engagement. And there's a lot going on. So even the licensee in Bali, very enthusiastic, but within 2 weeks has learned everything technical about how to manage the local regional admin tool in Bali. And I'm sort of going online and I'm like, wow, look at Bali. There's like 150 new articles, So it's really great to have empowered someone and given them the opportunity to learn digital marketing and digital admin tools. And in every part of those last couple of weeks of training the local community manager, it's like the message is, now you need to empower someone else and train someone else.